good morning. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Good morning, good morning. All right. Welcome, STEM enthusiasts and STEM educators, to the very first Texas Ecosystem Exchange. I'm so excited for you guys today. We have a schedule that is lined up to spark your curiosity and allow you to network and idea exchange with some of the best in the field. So I wanted to walk you through just a few things. Number one, our Wi-Fi. So we have a Wi-Fi. It is open guest, and that is your password. Pretty easy to remember. All lowercase, baseball with 1 for the L's. So just so you have that information. And just so you know who I am, I'm the person that's been filling up your inbox. I'm Samantha Bradbury. Just call me Sam. If you're calling me Samantha, I'll think I'm in trouble. I'm very thrilled that you all are here and that I've been able to interact with many of you this morning. I'm in charge of science and STEM at the Service Center, K-12, and I'm also the Region 10 Texas Ecosystem lead. So been doing this for the last 5 years, enjoying it, and ready to do this work today. So welcome, welcome. I want to also take a moment to thank our gold sponsors. They're 5 of the groups that made today possible. So if you'll give them a round of applause. Thank you. They provided swag, treats, there's all kinds of things out there. Highly encourage you to go see them. They have worked hard to help this event happen today. Also a reminder that we do want you to visit all of our sponsors. Again, they are all responsible for different pieces that we've provided for you today for your learning and your networking. This is a punch card that is in your swag bag. So if you will locate it during the morning, I just ask that you kind of swing by and see those individuals. They are all out in the main foyer for you. They have a hole punch. If you will kindly visit them, talk to them, have them punch your card on, they will punch it on their logo. And once you have all of them punched, then you write your name on the back of the card, and we will have a place for you to drop it at lunch. We will do a drawing for some giveaways at the end of lunch, okay? So we got some really good prizes for you, so please participate in that. And also my ecosystem. I cannot do this job without them. The ecosystem is comprised of individuals from various industries, and various organizations, from higher education, K-12 chairs, the Perot Museum is on my team, lots and lots of people. I can't name them all. There's like 29 different members that come and go at different times, and they'll be doing some presentations for you today. So please look at your program, which is also in your bag, and that'll tell you the descriptions of what they're doing and what you'll be able to learn in there and participate in. All right. So I know what you guys all came to really listen to is my friend and the state STEM coordinator for Texas is Michelle Sedberry. So give her a round of applause. We're going to give her a minute to set up. Thank you for being here.
All right, now let's see if the clicker works. I think we're in business. All right, I'm Michelle Sedberry. I'm the statewide STEM coordinator at the Texas Education Agency, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I don't know if you guys know what you're a part of. We have the Texas Ecosystem is a Texas is not worldwide, but the ecosystem is a worldwide organization. Texas applied as an entire state with the state agency as the lead back in 2018. We have 20 STEM hubs located across Texas, and this is one of our hubs. Region 10 is a hub, and Sam is our STEM lead that leads the work in this area. So y'all are a part of a very big network. Each service center has a STEM lead and does similar things, but the Texas Ecosystem Exchange, I'm very excited to be here and be a part of your very first one. So are you excited to be here? Yes. All right. So today I'm going to talk to you not about the ecosystem, but I'm going to talk to you about some changes we have coming in Texas. Raise your hand if you're aware we have new science standards coming and new technology standards coming. Awesome. This is the most hands I've seen raised in a presentation so far. That means Sam is doing a great job. So I'm going to start out and just talk to you about why we're making these changes, and we're really going to dig into data this morning. Not assessment data, workforce data, which you may or may not have an opportunity to dig into very often. So we're going to talk about 3 buckets. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about just high-level Texas data, but then we're going to really dig into Region 10's data as of 3 weeks ago, so this is all very current. We're also going to talk about the middle skills STEM opportunities that exist here in Texas, and then at the end we'll talk about how Texas is supporting STEM education. So why STEM? Why are we doing this, and what is the data that's driving this decision? So when we look at our big picture, when we look at the nation, you see that the dark blue states that are up here are the fastest growing opportunities in STEM. And so you will notice that Texas is one of those dark blue states. We have many, many STEM opportunities that are in high need. They are high paying jobs, and these are opportunities for our students. We are predicted to have the 2nd highest percent of the nation's future STEM opportunities, and so that prediction is from the Texas Workforce Commission. And so I wanted to dig into that a little bit more. And so back in 2018, I met with the Texas Workforce Commission and said, what does that really mean? What is that prediction? And when you say the 2nd highest, what kind of numbers are we talking about here? And they said that means that in 2026, we predict there will be 1.9 million unfilled STEM jobs right here in Texas. That's a lot of jobs. We are on track to hit that number. That prediction was made a while back. We are moving towards that every year. In 2026, we won't just magically have all of these jobs. They're building through. And you're going to see those jobs that are available right here in Region 10, and the volume of those jobs is pretty amazing. So this pie graph, I cannot make the labels bigger, but we're just going to talk colors here. So if you're at the back, don't panic. Everything today I show you, I will tell you what you're looking at so you don't have to squint. The side on the right where you see your blues and purples, that is your technology side. So this data is from November 2021, right after the pandemic. The US Census data was collected, and they decided, you know, we really need to look at jobs again and see what changes have occurred. What are the trends now that the pandemic has happened? They suspected that there would be some shifts, and we did see some shifts in Texas. Now, our chart has always been this blue and purple on the right, high technology opportunities. About half of our fastest growing STEM opportunities are in technology, and that's all things technology: software developers, cybersecurity, data analysts, all of those pieces, coding that you see in technology is all represented there. Then you see that orange section of the pie chart. That's our next biggest section, and that's engineering. And that includes all areas of engineering. Then you see this yellow section. This is our change. So this makes sense. We have life and physical science up there. It doesn't take a lot of deduction to figure out why that part of our pie grew. There is still a high need in the medical industry for research and things to help keep us safe. But before the pandemic, science, social studies, and math were all pretty much identical. They were all that little tiny sliver. And so this is a significant change that you see in our data. But we're going to talk about you guys. What's happening in Region 10, not what's happening in Region 11, what's happening right here in Region 10 in your counties. So what I did was, with some help from my data friends at work, not all me, but they helped me pull just your counties that represent Region 10 and your opportunities. And we use at the agency what is called lightcast data. And lightcast data is made up, it's triangulated between these three government sources here. The U.S. Census Bureau, the Bureau of Economic Analysis, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So these three data sets are what are used to determine what's happening in your region. And then everything is tracked through a SOC code. Has anybody heard of SOC codes before? Where are my nerds? Oh, one. All right, so SOC codes. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot. People ask me, how do y'all track these jobs? It's from SOC codes. So in industry, over here, the Standard Occupation Classification System, this is used in our country, it's used in 5 other countries, and it's growing in popularity. But you take every job that exists, there's about 800 of them, they're all assigned a number, and those numbers we track through openings and what's available, what new ones are here. They are all categorized and organized. If you love numbers, it is a beautiful system of organization that you might want to check out. So SOC codes are how we track everything. So when I talk to you today about SOC codes for STEM, these are the classified jobs across the nation that have been declared in the STEM fields. So let's look at Region 10. We're starting big in Region 10. So we're going to start out with your biggest industries right here in the area. Your number one biggest is government. And y'all know your area better, and so you might be thinking, okay, who would the government agency be? Now you will notice here's the national mark. So y'all do not have as many opportunities as the nation does, but you're pretty far close to that national mark. But the ones that I'm particularly interested in are your STEM ones. So if you look at your STEM, I've marked them with orange stars and then called them out on the side because it's hard to read. Professional, scientific, and technical services, this is groups, these are industries, so this is big. So we're talking engineers, we're talking your technology jobs, we're talking master's degrees in science, in mathematics, those analysts. Those are all going to fall into this top grouping, and you'll note that's number 2 on your list. That is not typical for regional data. Typically, that number is further down. The next one, of course, is healthcare. You'll have a lot of healthcare opportunities here. And then down, not really the middle, but right above the middle is you have manufacturing. Your manufacturing is going to be your chip manufacturing. You've probably heard a lot about semiconductors, those mechanical components. So that's going to be grouped in there, but it's also going to be your advanced manufacturing. It's also going to include some components of engineering. So you may see, depending on the occupation, where those fall in that big umbrella of SOC codes. So what are your top growing industries? Still looking at the big umbrellas. Number 1, off the chart. So it wouldn't even fit on here. Your professional, scientific, and technical services. So that is that big one we just talked about. The main STEM in this area is growing faster than anything else. Then down the list, you see healthcare about middle, and you see manufacturing falling further to the bottom. So now let's talk jobs. So these are not industries, these are occupations. And we're going to look at your top occupation earnings. So this is, now we're talking money. Okay, that's what we want to know is the money. Here at the top, legal. I mean, if you've got a legal background, this is the place to be because you're going to make a lot of money in Region 10 with legal expertise. But right here, third on the list, computer and mathematical. So these are our data analysts, big data folks, architects and engineers, healthcare, and then our life, physical, and social science. So all towards the top, these are the top earnings. When we look at these arcs here, these are for technology, so we're going to deep dive into technology a little bit. We have these arcs, and of course you can see the USA pin. These are the national medians numbers. So all we're talking about here are medians, no averages. So these are solid numbers. And remember, these are the numbers as of 3 weeks ago when I pulled this data. So for your supply, for technology jobs in Region 10, you have about 156,575 jobs here in Austin. Of those job opportunities, right now, as of 3 weeks ago, you had 8,723 of those jobs open and unfilled. For those jobs, the median, not the average, the median wage, $108,000 for those jobs. So technology in Region 10 is booming, and you guys know that. But if you think through the lens of a school, what could you be doing for your students, especially in high school, to prepare them to go into these jobs? And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but as we go through this, I want you to think through the lens of what could we do to be preparing our students for these Region 10 jobs, because there's a lot of them. Whoops, excuse me. For monthly postings, remember this data, the Lightcast data, is not looking at the rear view mirror, what's happened in the past. It's looking forward, what's happening right now and what's happening in the future. So this is telling us what has happened monthly in this past year and what are our average postings. So these are the areas in technology that we're seeing the most postings. So for a software developer, monthly you have about 3,099 new postings a month. About 808 of those are going unfilled. So we are filling some. There's 2,291 that were filled, but we still have those openings. For computer occupations, and you will see all other, that just means anything related to that occupation in a SOC code is grouped together. We have 1,531 monthly postings on average, and about 855 of those are going unfilled. So these two areas are really high demand. When you look at computer system analytics, there's less of a demand, and we're filling a lot of them. So that tells us that our folks that are coming in to apply for these jobs are qualified for them, and those are being filled a little bit easier. Now we still have 56 on average that aren't getting filled each month. So there's still a demand, but it's not as big as these gaps here. So on average, every month, you're having about 675 postings that are going up, and then we're filling some of those, but not all of those. So what gives your student a value add, or a person going into these fields? All of these skills are currently being looked for in job descriptions. So this data system goes through and pulls every skill that's needed and then looks for trends. So these are all valuable, but there are some of these that are unique that if your student has these skills, it is going to put them ahead of other applicants that have applied for the job, and it's a salary boost. So not only will it put them ahead, they're going to get paid more money if they get hired with this skill. So value add for technology, computer science. If they can code, you're going to see it here and you're going to see it in engineering. They are going to get more money and they're more likely to get the job. Also SQL, programming language, agile methodology, software development, and Linux. If they know those, they're going to make more money and they're going to beat out their peers that don't have those. Now, other things that are important, Java, sure. but lots of people know Java, lots of people know JavaScript. So it'll help you get the job, but you're probably not going to get paid more money for it. Automation, project management, and scripting, they're all just common skills, so that's not going to give you that value add. So now let's deep dive into engineering. So we're going to switch our brains. Technology, and we know there's a demand. Let's look at engineering. It is not as high demand as technology, but there are still a lot of opportunities here for the engineering jobs. So this works the same way. In the Region 10 area, you have about 40,000 engineering jobs. Right now, as of 3 weeks ago, you had about 2,000 jobs that were open and unfilled. And the compensation is about $99,642 median wage for those engineering jobs. So a little bit less, but I mean, if somebody was going to pay me $99,000, I would take that money, right? So we're not talking $108,000, but it's still these are great wages. For the engineering occupations, here's a breakdown of what we see. Now, I will tell you that studying SOC codes can be a little maddening because you have a big SOC code that gives you the area, and then anything related under that area has a related SOC code, and typically they call it other. So you will see that this huge green section is an other, which is really just not very helpful. But if you dig into that data, the other is going to be people that support the engineers. So maybe a technician or someone like that. Those are going to be your others, but they are working in the engineering industry. All right, so let's look at our top piece here. 21% are just straight architects and engineers. Then you have this blue section here. We're going to call it electric blue. This is our semiconductors and electronic components. This is growing, and I would suspect over the next 3 to 4 years, we are going to see this section grow to be equal or maybe a little bit larger than this section right up here. But remember, this is live data, so this is what's available right now. You guys are just kind of getting started in semiconductors. The same thing's happening in Austin. Businesses are just starting to come and just starting to hire. Places are just being built, so they aren't even actually employing people yet. So that's not going to show up on here because this is live data, right? So kind of keep that in mind. Then these other areas down here are all pretty much equal at 4%. We have aerospace, computer science design. Now this is computer science design and engineering. So this is going to be connected to architecture. It's not going to be connected to a straight technology field. So this is an area, again, where you're seeing some overlap in Region 10. And then we have the government piece down in yellow. Now this is an interesting piece that did not come up with technology. So you can think of in technology, it's fast growing, it's innovative, it's new. We have lots of young people going into technology. Engineering is a different story. And we have somewhat of a crisis in engineering nationwide because we have a lot of people about to retire. And so this is no different here in Region 10. When you look at who is retiring, y'all are on track with the nation pen, but you've got 11,000 engineers that will be retiring in the next 5 years. So y'all are going to have a big need come up, or we saw those numbers were, 2,000 openings. We're going to start seeing that jump in the next few years because of retirement rates. So something to keep in mind. So looking at our average postings, you see there's a lot more engineering postings than there were with technology, just all different kinds. But our numbers are a little bit smaller. So engineers, just in general, all other in engineers, we have 184 Unfilled each month, about 103. So we're not filling most of those jobs. Most of those are going unfilled. When we look at chemical engineers, which is down here on the list, there's 51 openings on average, 48 are going unfilled. So that's nearly all of them. So in this area, chemical engineers are desperately needed. If we look at mechanical engineers up here at the top, we have 164 on average monthly postings, and we have 49 unfilled. So y'all are filling some, but not all. But chemical engineers and then just general engineers are where y'all really need some support. So on average, if you're looking at your monthly postings, you'll have about 942 postings a month that come up for engineers, which is still a great number for you, for your area, high wage jobs. Looking again at the salary boosting, what's going to get your students more money? Project management skills here will get you a salary boost. Remember, in technology, it didn't. That wasn't what they were looking for. So if you have that project manager student, you want to steer them towards engineering, they would have a salary boost for that. If they can do any type of electrical engineer, that is a salary boost. So if they have those skills, they're getting those skills in CTE, that is a benefit for them when they go in to apply for these jobs. And then you'll notice computer science. If they can code, they also will get more money here. So we want all our kids coding. And that's one thing that we're looking at as a state. How do we prepare our students for any opportunity in STEM? Coding is the common factor that we see across many of these industries. So let's talk middle skills STEM jobs. What can your students do and what can you do right now to make a difference? So our high schools offer CTE. You've probably heard of CTE, our career technical education programs. When we look at Texas middle skill jobs, those are an associate's degree or less. So these are not four-year degrees, associates or less. That can be obtained in high school. We have many of your high schools are offering an associate's degree in STEM while the kids are still in high school. Not everybody, but there are definitely some in Region 10 doing that. So these are middle skill opportunities that are in STEM that are unique to Texas. This is not the case in other states, but we are unique because ours are very high wage. So more than 60% of our middle skill jobs here in Texas only require 6 months or less of training. That means that your student in high school can take a class, at the end of that class get an industry-based certification in a STEM field and be ready to go into some of these STEM opportunities. So this is a really good piece of information. 60% of these jobs only require 6 months or less. Our STEM middle skill jobs here in Texas range median salary of $35,000 to $95,000. Now, of course, the more credentials you have, the higher you're going to be on this range, right? But nothing passes an associate's degree. So with an associate's degree, you can make $95,000. So some of you are rethinking your choices right now, but you will continue to rethink those as we go. So then our demand for these jobs in Texas goes up every year. The vacancies also go up every year because we don't have skilled folks to walk into these jobs. Our potential earnings in Texas are double. So when you look at STEM occupations in a hourly wage, it will be double a non-STEM job. And that is in every STEM occupation in Texas. Not just technology, not just engineering. Anything with a STEM SOC code, your hourly wage will be double. So if you get that associate's degree, you are looking at starting wages $75,000 to $100,000 if you get STEM. Now that is more than a non-STEM bachelor's and a master's degree. I know a lot of you in this room have a master's degree in education, but all you had to do was get an associate's degree in STEM, and you would be at that 100,000 mark. And that's median, not an average. Guys, these are life-changing wages for our kids. And all it does is tweaking program at a high school to make this happen. In Texas, we have had for a while, our top 3 jobs are computing, those technology jobs, cybersecurity, big data, coding. We've had advanced manufacturing. We've had engineering as those top 3 tiers. We have a new one added. Healthcare has been number 4 for a long time. It has risen in the ranks, and it is now here with our top 3. It ties in with advanced manufacturing, so it has been added to this list since COVID. So what are we doing about it? When is all this going to take place? So you know that most of you raised your hand at the beginning, so if your hand wasn't raised, you're about to be shocked and blown away. So in 2020, the State Board of Education brought educators to the table, asked them to write new high school science courses. The pandemic happened, they fought through it like soldiers, and came out on the other end with high school standards. In 2021, K-8 was tackled in science. So that's the reason we have 2 dates, is because of COVID. At the 2021 mark, the State Board of Education adopted the new science standards. Those new science standards include engineering. So we are the last state in the nation to include engineering into our science standards. We're about 12 years behind, but the good news is for you, there's a lot on the internet. So if you need ideas, just go to the internet. There's lots and lots of things out there because this is not new. Scientific and engineering practices are now a requirement in kindergarten through 12th grade. These will be implemented next year. You have your scientific inquiry, so that hands-on approach, anchoring your instruction in phenomenons, all of that is going to begin this next year. And you will see our STEM fluency skills called out throughout the standards, because we know that these skills are what are going to prepare our students for those employability skills they need in the STEM fields. And these skills were identified by industry here in Texas back in 2019. They identified 9 critical areas that we needed to have our students develop as habits by the time they graduate. But wait, there's more. So in 2022, the State Board of Education pulled educators together to relook at our K-8 technology application TEKS. And they said, wow, these are very out of date. When they looked at it, the most advanced thing was using an internet search browser, because that was the big thing 12 years ago. So now when they looked at these standards, they said, wow, we've got to build up the skills in our students. So in K through 8, now it will be a requirement for our students every year to learn computer science, cybersecurity techniques, how to be a nice human online. All of those things are part of these technology applications. These will also go into place next year. So we have digital literacies, a big bucket, and then our computing, which includes coding and cybersecurity. So those are the big changes. I am at time. I'll explain this and then I'll answer some questions for you. So this QR code is going to take you to a survey, which goes to my boss, And it tells them whether you think that this was helpful information for your Texas ecosystem exchange. This is how they determine if I can travel to events like this in the future. So if you really hated any part of it, please email me that information directly. My email is here. Feel free to give all 10s on the survey. So questions. What questions do you have about STEM or STEM implementation? Yeah.
Who's responsible for making sure those technology applications are embedded into the curriculum pieces?
That's a great question. Who's our administrators in the room? Raise your hand high and bravely. One person admits it. Okay, 2 people. All right, so it's a local decision how this is going to look. So I can give you some things I've heard, okay? So in elementary, this is the tricky spot. So I've heard some elementaries are planning to do a rotation, like a fine arts rotation, where they go to music, they go to art, they go to technology. So it's like when the students leave to go to their thing, one of those things will be technology. That requires 1 FTE in training that one person in those technology skills, because I promise your kindergarten teacher does not know how to do pseudocode. Okay, so this is going to be, there's going to have to be some skills taught here. So teaching 1, that's pretty easy. So plan B, so that's what a lot of people I've heard are kind of thinking. A plan B would be that they are going to train each grade level, because remember the standards are no longer banded, they are by grade level. So kinder has a whole set of standards that are different than first and so forth. So in those cases, they would take and train all the teachers up, and they would incorporate it through their class, like embed it in the class. So if they find a connection that's helpful, they would embed it in that lesson. The tricky part with that is making sure everything gets taught, and you know, Susie doesn't just assume that Jan is going to always cover everything and then they don't actually cover anything, right? The third thing I've heard people talk about is that administration, like at a high level, they're going to take the standards and divide them out. So in first grade, they're going to take these standards that deal with editing, revising, deleting, copying, all the practical application skills, and they're going to put that with the English teacher. And when the English teacher is teaching those skills, they're going to tie it to the technology. And then they're going to take these standards that are about design and designing software and things like that. They're going to put that with science teacher because they're already doing engineering design and prototyping and things like that in science. So they're very strategically pairing content with what matches. And everybody has a responsibility by the end of the year to cover those things. Middle school's much easier because almost every middle school already has students rotating through a technology class to learn technology applications. So that teacher just has to tweak what they're doing and add in the missing components. So that's pretty easy. What is not as easy in middle school is a lot of people, that was a required 6th grade class, but it was not a required 7th and 8th grade elective. Now it would have to be, because every year they're learning something different, and it has to be for every student. It cannot be an opt-in. It's a required curriculum. So in middle school, that's the only kind of tricky part about it. Otherwise, middle school schedules are already pretty much built to handle it. Great question. Yeah?
Does the TEA have any plan in effect, because this will roll out next year, to bring in like industry experts for to recruit as far as like middle school or high school goes?
For like as a teacher? So Texas is an interesting place because we are local control. So that would be an overstep of authority. But we do have we had lots of industry people that came in to inform the standards. So we've had, that voice has been a part of the process. But I think it is a great idea to look out into your community and say, hey, would anyone want to give up your $108,000 to come make a great $50,000 salary? It's a hard sell to get folks to come out, but there are people that would be interested, I'm sure. And so, you know, that would be a local decision whether you want to recruit from industry. But just keep pay. You may need some perks to throw into the package, like 3 summers off. So maybe start with that instead of leading with salary. Anything else? Lots of changes. Are y'all excited? Less cheering here at the end. All right. Yes?
The scheduling considerations that you recommended, is there another avenue where those, or another audience those are being proposed to other than like the STEM-minded people?
We don't usually advise. I mean, if we're asked what we've heard other people doing, we'll share that information. But as far as how things are structured out of school, that is all local decisions. If it comes up in a meeting or if I'm doing a presentation on the new TEKS, I share ideas with folks. One thing that I will share with you guys, since this is the exchange and we're exchanging information, I currently have some technology application resources that they're in the approval chain. And so they will be making it to the STEM toolkit very soon. So those are going to be there for you. In addition, I'm doing some crosswalk mapping for you guys. So that if you are an administrator and you're trying to figure out what does line up, I've already gone through and done that study for you. So I have a document that's coming out that shows you that if you want to break it up that way. But you may just want to hire someone to do your technology rotation. But if not, I've done some of that breakdown for you. And then also for science, I've done a cross-curricular crosswalk that shows you where the new science TEKS align to math, social studies, reading, and technology applications. So I've done a crosswalk for every required subject area and how they line up in a science class. That way you can do cross-curricular engineering design challenges. So that is also a tool that is in the final stages before coming out. Yeah?
Are you guys doing any work with all the new legislation about the Department of Ed coming out with approved curriculum and approved resources, since we're moving away from that materials adoption? As far as the STEM part goes, looking at OERs or anything like that, or?
Yeah, great question. For your 2024 proclamation, you guys, you know that, right? You know about this, money's coming. So you're about to get some money, and that money will buy instructional materials for K-12 science and also for your K-8 technology applications. So it's a big chunk of money, so make sure if you're not the person in your district making those decisions, make sure and let them know, hey, we need instructional materials that are aligned to these new standards, especially in science, having that alignment to the engineering, so your teachers are not having to Google engineering design projects. So make sure as you are getting ready to adopt some of these things, make sure that you are looking at that. For the new process, that's coming into play with our new House bill that will not affect science. And so these all are kind of grandfathered into the old system. So they're going to be under that Proclamation 2024. All right, I think we are out of time for questions. I'm going to be around all day, and you are welcome at any time to email me, and I'm happy to answer questions there as well. And we're going to transition, I think, to the STEM panel.